Most people think that charisma is a personality trait, but that's incorrect. Charisma is the ability to make people feel more interesting, more important, and more emotionally engaged when they're around you. Notice that definition doesn't include attractiveness, confidence, extroversion, humor, intelligence, or public speaking ability. Charisma is the ability to influence the emotional state of other people. When charismatic people enter a room, they change how others feel. They can make people feel excited, important, understood, inspired, curious, entertained, or even devoted. That emotional impact is why charisma is one of the most powerful social skills a person can develop. In this video, we break down the exact psychological pillars of true charisma. You'll learn how to deploy presence, warmth, and competence to negotiate higher salaries, ace your next interview, or just become the most charismatic person in any social setting. Let's unlock your unfair advantage. This is Black Satin Theory. Before we begin, I'd like to ask that all viewers like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you're always notified when we post a new video. That being said, let's get into the video. A common misconception is that charisma is most useful for dating. In reality, its greatest value appears in situations where people have options. If you're trying to get hired, people have other candidates. If you're building an audience, people have other creators. If you're running for office, people have other leaders. Charisma is often the reason someone chooses you over an equally qualified alternative. Think about Barack Obama. His rise wasn't built solely on policy. Plenty of politicians had policy. What separated him was his ability to make audiences feel optimistic about the future. People often left his speeches feeling like they were participating in something larger than themselves. Or consider Muhammad Ali. Before becoming one of the greatest boxers in history, he convinced the world he was special through sheer presence. His confidence, humor, and ability to create anticipation transformed fights into cultural events. People weren't just watching an athlete, they were watching a character. Then there's Marilyn Monroe. Countless actresses were technically more skilled, yet Monroe possessed a rare ability to command attention. People remembered how she made them feel. Decades after her death, her image remains recognizable worldwide. The lesson is simple. Charisma creates disproportionate influence. Now let's move into how it actually works. The first trait of charismatic people is that they create emotional contrast. Most people mirror the room. Charismatic people change it. When everyone becomes anxious, they become calm. During crises, this makes people appear trustworthy. One reason why people were drawn to Nelson Mandela was his ability to remain composed in situations that would emotionally overwhelm most individuals. His calmness became contagious. Another overlooked skill is selective mystery. Modern culture encourages people to share everything immediately. Charismatic people understand that intrigue creates attention. When David Bowie appeared in public, people rarely felt like they completely understood him. There was always another layer to uncover. Human beings become fascinated by what remains partially hidden. A third technique is making people feel significant rather than impressed. Most people try to prove their value. Charismatic people make others feel valuable. When Oprah Winfrey interviews guests, viewers often notice how intensely she listens. People leave her interviews feeling understood. That's one reason guests frequently reveal things they haven't told other interviewers. The fourth skill is strategic vulnerability. Most people think charisma requires perfection. In reality, carefully revealing weaknesses often increases influence. When Princess Diana spoke openly about personal struggles, public support often increased rather than decreased. Vulnerability made her human. The fifth skill is controlling pace. People underestimate how much speed affects perceived authority. Nervous people rush. Charismatic people are comfortable taking their time. Watch interviews with Denzel Washington. He rarely appears hurried. He allows statements to land. This creates the impression that he is completely comfortable in his own skin. The sixth skill is rewarding attention. Most conversations are transactional. Charismatic people make interactions feel valuable. When someone asks them a question, they don't provide the shortest answer possible. They often give an insight, story, or observation that leaves the other person feeling they gained something from the interaction. This is one reason podcasts hosted by figures like Joe Rogan become so successful. Listeners frequently feel like they're receiving access to ideas and conversations they wouldn't normally experience. The seventh skill is creating memorable moments. Most people are forgettable because they behave predictably. Charismatic people understand surprise. When Robin Williams appeared on talk shows, audiences never knew what would happen next. That unpredictability created excitement. The eighth skill is conviction. People are attracted to certainty, not because certainty is always correct, but because uncertainty creates anxiety. One reason why figures like Steve Jobs inspired intense loyalty was his unwavering belief in his vision. Even critics acknowledged that his conviction could be persuasive. The ninth skill is narrative thinking. Charismatic people rarely communicate facts. They communicate stories. Humans evolved to remember narratives long before spreadsheets and statistics existed. When Winston Churchill rallied Britain during World War II, he didn't motivate people with data. He created a story about resilience, survival, and victory. The 10th skill is emotional specificity. Most people describe experiences vaguely. Charismatic people make emotions tangible. Instead of saying, "I was nervous," they say, "My hands were shaking so badly I nearly dropped the microphone." The audience sees the experience rather than hearing about it. An 11th skill is making people feel like insiders. Humans crave access. Charismatic people often create the sense that others are receiving something exclusive. This is why fans become deeply attached to creators who share behind-the-scenes stories, personal observations, or unique perspectives. People love feeling like they're seeing something others aren't. The 12th skill is being willing to occupy space. Many people unconsciously apologize for existing. They shrink their opinions, downplay accomplishments, and soften statements before making them. Charismatic individuals communicate as though they belong in the room, not because they're arrogant, but because they don't require permission to participate. What makes charisma fascinating is that none of these skills require exceptional beauty, wealth, intelligence, or status. Many people believe charisma causes success. Often the opposite is true. Charisma allows people to hold attention long enough for others to notice their success. And in a world where everyone is competing for attention, that ability may be more valuable than ever. The most charismatic people in history weren't always the smartest, richest, strongest, or most talented. They were the people who understood one simple truth. People rarely remember what you said, but they never forget how you made them feel. Charisma is the art of creating that feeling, and once you learn how to do it, every room you walk into changes. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you're always notified when Black Satin Theory posts a new video. As always, we'll see you in the next video.